Gerbo, you're one of America's natural resources.
Yes, he is. He's like one of the 7 wonders of the world.
Can we do an after dark of this call, like after we stop recording?
That's what we were just talking about, actually. So, yeah.
Let's fucking rage.
Let's fucking rage.
But I just dropped the link in the chat. And if that doesn't come out in the video, we can certainly post it in a comment or something like that. But I almost forgot that I had it, but I wanted to bring it out for this occasion. So no excuses. Get out there and enjoy nature. Anyway.
I'm good. Brad, you got anything else, or anybody else have anything they wanted to hit on? I mean,
yeah, I got 2 things. Just some thoughts. If conversation happens, awesome. If it doesn't, that's also okay. But just some kind of experiential things. The first one has to do with memories for me. I was thinking about this earlier today, and for me personally, I tried to think of a major developmental memory for me, like something I remember growing up as a teenager, even as an adult, that did not have something to do with nature, and I had a really hard time with it. Like my favorite, one of the many favorite memories of my dad, the number one that comes to mind, is hunting with flintlock muzzleloaders in Pennsylvania in the winter when it's a snowstorm, right? How many times fishing on Salmon River or on Lake Ontario, I can't keep track. Like all of these things, all these memories I think about, going to Iceland with Jackie and then going to Lake Bled, Slovenia, experiencing, the Poconos even, Ledges Hotel there in Hawley, PA, going out to, even vineyards in New Jersey. And I'm saying that living in Italy, it was still really cool. I can hardly think of like a major life event or a major memory that, positively shaped who I am without it having to do with nature. I'm sure they're there, and maybe I'm skewed because of our topic and whatever, and that's why, but like I can't think back to oh man, I remember that one time I was playing Xbox with the homies and that shaped who I am. I can't think back to a time of, hey, remember when we were sitting in the office and like this happened and that shaped who I am. But when I think about what shaped who I am, all of it, nearly all of it, has to do with being outside. And to me, that's important. And maybe that's just me and my experience. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I got something on that. I was looking here at, and I can post this link. It's pretty cool that you're talking about that. I'm reading this here. It's about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and a bunch of different things. And it's a short article on it. It's an easy read, but it kind of talks about peak experiences, and what he means by peak experiences are moments for which like love and understanding and happiness, or it's just a good feeling that happens, that somebody feels alive and self-sufficient. And it's kind of like, he calls it a self-actualized relationship, where one or two people are like self-sufficient, looking to work together or create something more than the sum of its parts. I had read this a little while ago, and I just posted it there without reading it straight by, word by word. But like a self-actualized relationship is really, it's a cool thing to be part of. It gives meaning to your life if you can, peak experiences. So if you can have like a friend, somebody you have, and you can go out like on a motorcycle camping trip with them, like Brad and I have done, and you get to go out, and we weren't just out there ripping around on the road. We were going from place to place. We were also camping. And one such moment, we parked close to a waterfall, and then we like hiked into the waterfall. So we're already outside. It's a nice place. We're in Tennessee. We're Looking Glass Falls. See, he remembers that stuff, and I wouldn't remember it. I just remembered that we were at a waterfall. But that was for me. That was like a peak experience during that time frame. That trip that we had, because it was a huge waterfall. It was a nice bike ride. The weather was perfect. We were really far. There were no cities or anything around there, so it smelled like nature. So we were either, smelling the bike, we're cruising, or we're smelling nature. You can feel the temperature. It was still early enough. You could hear the waterfall. Brad and I were touching each other and holding hands. But yeah, there we are. We got all of them. But that was like for me, that's an example of like a peak experience. And it's kind of like a meaningful relationship between two monogamous friends. But and I learned this year, and I didn't realize how important it was then, but thinking back about relationships that people have with each other and finding meaningful relationships are like the most important relationships that you have, because that brings, Brian, you mentioned something about a purpose, like being outside and wanting to have a purpose. Self-actualized relationship or peak experiences are all part of that thing that we can get that gives us like a more meaningful relationship or a better connection with someone. And it doesn't have to be with a friend. It can be with a loved one or family member, wife, husband. And I was reading this a little while ago based on something that I was looking at. So that's something I think about, not just being out in nature. Also, if you go out in nature, it's nice to share it with somebody else. Just like when we were on that hike earlier with, I would mention just me, my wife, and my son, or that's great. I think we logged 4.5 hours at your house, Mario, and we had 15 people hiking, maybe, and it was a lot of fun. It was great. It would have been fun if I just went out there and hiked by myself. But the experience is way different. Next time I see some of those people I had never met before. But we went down that waterfall, and I was carrying my son in this carrier, and there was a rope, okay, and you had to lower yourself down the waterfall. And then I didn't feel nervous or anything because Gerbo was there, and a bunch of other people were there, like ready to catch us if we were to fall or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to interject was that's why I'm so thankful that both of you brought your families and your significant others, both you and Gerbo. And so that's what I wanted to say, but yeah.
Yeah. So, and we weren't just out in nature experiencing it. We were experiencing it with friends. And we were, it was kind of like an adventure, but we were also outside. And that for me, for the time that we were there, that time frame, that was kind of like my peak experience during that time. So I just wanted to mention that peak experiences through self-actualizing relationships. We're basically two people or more just hanging out, and they're just looking for something. This is a bigger experience than whatever we are. I think that's a good example of that, along with motorcycle riding with Brad in the mountains.
Webb, dude, perfect, man. The one thing I wanted, and I might have mentioned this 5 or 6 times in earlier recorded calls, but there's a book, I know Brad's read it, The Power of Moments. Chip Heath was the author of it. And the whole book is about, like, say you have this goal of, running a marathon or whatever the hell your goal is at the end of the day, what you want to aspire to self-actualize to. Very often it's not the achievement of that goal that you hold closely. It's the moments along the way, those little moments.
Uh-oh, did we get the Gerbo remix?
Uh-oh, I don't
Oh.
know what's happening.
Wait, you're back.
Okay.
We lost you.
Did I do a max headroom or something? So it's, so I guess the thing is, it's not the destination, it's the journey, or it's not the kill, it's the thrill of the chase, the power of moments. If you haven't read that book, it's a short read, some good nuggets in there. It's one of those self-help kind of books. I guess you could put it in that category. But I remember one of the stories that stood out was like from a business perspective. And I do Audible. When I say I read books, I don't really sit there and read books. Yeah, no, I don't really see pictures. I put them on Audible and kind of listen to them while I'm out walking or running or whatever. But I remember one of them was like, he's going on a vacation with his wife or something, and they booked this hotel, and they kind of took a chance on it. It's like off the, it's kind of like not very well known or whatever, but they have this thing where they do something unique. The hotel management like calls you in your room and offers you like a treat, some kind of a, I can't remember exactly the details of it, but there's some kind of like frozen treat or dessert that they'll deliver to your room, and it's like a special thing. And that's what they remembered. They didn't remember like how nice it was or the service or anything. They just remembered like having, just whenever they wanted this treat, they could just pick up the phone and call down to room service and get like an ice cream cone that was like a special thing. And that's what they remembered. And you compare that environment, that experience to like, the big box, Hilton or Marriott or whatever, that doesn't offer that kind of a cool little moment for you. And it's just kind of a transactional thing with them, right? I pay money, I get my room, I get whatever a perk I get for being a member, but I don't have this special connection to it. I didn't never had a moment that I thought, this is neat, And so maybe that's what we need to be looking at. We got nature surrounding us in different forms. We have like a path you can take along the edge of a town. I remember Virginia specifically is one of my favorite states for doing this, to be able to bring in nature into an urban setting by some kind of a path or a walking path or a trail or something that's kind of, traffic's over here, but if you forget where you are, you're in nature again. It's like they're really good about fusing nature and urban together. So that's the thing, the moments, the power of moments. What experience did you have on your walk in nature? Maybe it was different than mine, but what's the one that lasts? The one with your son where you bonded and had this moment? Or is it just kind of staring at your phone while you're stomping along a trail? Or like me, admittedly, thinking about, we got to take a picture of this so we can post it on Facebook, and forgetting like all this stuff and trying to get that shot, like what am I missing? Power of moments, something to think about.
Yeah, and that's I think balance is the most important part with that, is not going too far one end of the spectrum and just pulling a Forrest Gump and just leaving and running. Okay, that's one end of the spectrum, right? And the other one would be not doing anything and just being completely functional and doing something for yourself. So, is it possible for an individual to set a goal of going to the local park once a week, once a month? Is it possible to go outside, even on the street in New York City, and take a walk anywhere outside for 10 minutes? Small incremental stuff, just getting that fresh air, even there, is going to help. But, it's, I always put that caveat of balance, because the last thing I want to tell people is like, get rid of your phone, or stop paying attention to it. Live in the moment. That's just beating people over the head and talking to them But at the same time, it's important to realize that so much time is being spent on electronics and that phone. If we can maintain some sort of healthy distance and incorporate a more healthy distance between the two on a daily basis, those are also things that can be done to help mitigate that. But that balance is important. You know, you play video games, we like to nerd out, all that stuff, fine. I love that shit. That's fine. But when it gets in the way of taking care of responsibilities, or even more importantly, ensuring the self can function the next day, that's important. So if we're really taxing our everything to the point where ourselves aren't being taken care of, maybe a reprioritization for the self needs to happen. And there's that balance. You know, nobody's saying to do what I do and just go outside and walk. You know, it's great. But the concept is do what you can, where you can, with what you have. And what you have is only known to the individual, not me, not Gerbo, not Brad, nobody else. Only the individual knows what they have at their disposal. So that's all I'll say about that.
And that's a perfect fusion, I think, between Brian and Brad's thoughts about purpose and about memories tied to, you know, Brad's dad. You know, he ties these moments to memories of his dad. You know, Brian's talking about what good is it to be out in there if you don't have a purpose to it, you know, and like what you're just saying kind of tied all that together is like, you have to bring something else into this experience. Nature doesn't have, so I don't know, this is maybe a little bit radical here and, you know, critical thinker here, but our whole title is Power of Nature. Does the nature have the power, or do we have the power to either receive it or reject it?
Yes. Yes. I believe it's all of the above. I believe, personally, I believe that one gets out what they put in, similar to Warrior Path. Warrior Path won't do anything for you. It will help you do what you need to do, but it's gonna help set the stage and the environment for one to do what they need to do. Similarly to walking out there, for example, I don't walk out there and expect the walk to take care of my problems. What I do expect is for the burden and stresses of normal life to be subsiding a little bit and be replaced a little bit more by the natural stimulus, so that it's overall not taxing on my body. The whole cortisol thing we were talking about, excretion of cortisol, you can measure that in the hair and fur of animals, just for giggles and shits, but it's a real thing. So, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, my son is going hunting.
Squirrel.
Squirrel hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, have fun.
Yeah.
Squirrel!
Yeah.
Is that Mirko?
Yeah, that's Mirko.
Hey, buddy, be careful on that freaking general.
He's talking to you.
Mirko, be
It's
careful on
Gerbo.
the general for taking her out.
Hello.
Hey, buddy. You go for some squirrels? Nice. You
How many
driving
are
or
you-
walking?
3.
3?
I'm gonna say 3 today.
You want to make that stew then?
If I get 3 today, yeah.
All right. Remember, learn from previous.
Mistakes.
Yep.
Quite a few previous ones.
Yep.
Good hunting. Miss you, buddy.
Thank you.
Good luck, bud.
Gerbo, you're awesome. I love your kids, man.
So yeah, dare I say what he's doing right now is a bit of ecotherapy and grounding techniques as well, because he gets away from this environment and goes outside and has to pay attention to different sights. The biggest thing out there is hearing, and hearing the squirrels. The squirrels sound different than the deer. You wouldn't know, one would not know that if they did not spend enough time out there in that environment. And no matter how much I can tell Mirko that, he has to see that for himself. And as a father, I've been working hard. Parents, we've been trying to work hard on getting them outside and that being part of their environment rather than going the opposite way towards video games and phones and computers. So again, this concept of nature is not like something relegated to the combat veteran. This is all encompassing for me at different levels. It's not something I eat and breathe consciously, but it's very much so incorporated on a daily basis. So,
and you have to, as a parent, you have to balance that because you live in a real world. Like, sorry, you can't deny your kids TikTok and stuff. If you do, they're just going to find another way around it. So you're trying to make peace with it and balance it out so where they can have the best of both and make informed decisions about what life is supposed to be. And I commend you for that. That's a challenge that I was not faced with raising my kids.
It's we go against the grain in our community. Mirko just turned 14 and just got his phone on his birthday, which is completely unheard of in any of the schools the kids have been. And it's just happening earlier and earlier. And there are negative consequences to it. So, but yeah, nature rocks.
It does.
He told me he's got 6,500 followers on his channel. He's got a hunting channel. It's amazing.
Including me. What about AJ? We need to get AJ up on the get him on Snapchat or some shit, Twitter.
I thought about it, but I just don't think the internet has the bandwidth for that sort of attention.
We cannot handle that much cuteness, man.
Now we'd have to take over the Bitcoin mining factories and the